Welcome back, man. Episode 2 ends the run. We cover grief, love, mental health, Gen Z work rules, and AI replacing humans.
Yeah, it's like therapy talk got dragged through a stand-up blender, then we stayed for the AI apocalypse jokes.
The way he talked about death, grief on one side, relief on the other, that hit weirdly hard.
Totally, because watching someone suffer and then they're gone creates this ugly emotional math.
People pretend it's only sadness, but there's also relief, guilt, and gratitude fighting in the same room.
And he said, people are more than their bodies. Like, okay, Catholic upbringing, spirituality, soul, beliefs matter.
I love how he's like, I don't say it was time, but also it might have felt okay to let go.
Therapy gets mentioned, and then instantly he goes, it can be great, or it can be trash. Honestly fair.
Right? Like therapy isn't a DLC, it's a gamble with a human being.
But he's still pro-therapy, just not pro-therapy as a solution to life.
The strongest bit for me was him saying life shifts from me to, can I help somebody?
That late 30s rewire, you start enjoying other people's wins more than your own accomplishments.
Translation. Awards are cool, but community is cooler. Also, stop pretending you're the main character.
And he's honest that success might improve your career, but dim the joy of trophies over time.
Then the question about what the audience doesn't understand, he basically says, there's a person off stage.
It's not a different me, it's a different dimension. Like he's saying, you only get the funniest layer.
That's such a real problem with comedians. Everyone consumes the brand, not the whole human.
And he kind of pokes at the idea of producers feeding him prompts. He's like, I just freestyle like I did drunk.
Which is both hilarious and mildly alarming. I used to do this drunk, now I do it sober.
But it's also his whole method. Look at the landscape, find the funniest take, and connect it to something human.
He said he doesn't care if the article is left or right. He cares if there's a deeper human angle.
That's why his monologues feel like conversations, not lectures.
Then it gets personal. Coming out at 25, love, travel-wrecking routines, relationships being complicated.
He's basically like, I want love, but I don't want it to swallow the whole machine.
And he admits he was hyper-focused on becoming a comedian, delaying the whole adult love arc.
The part about parents being the first model of love, that's psychology dressed as confession.
You observe your parents, then your brain won't shut up. That's everyone, honestly.
I liked his rejection without excuses vibe too, like he treats rejection as an ingredient.
And he's not pretending he's perfect now. He's just happy he stopped being the worst version of himself.
Then he lists mechanisms: long walks, talking to people, helping others, enlarging spiritual life, less internet.
The internet rant was strong. Parade of insanity. TikTok murders. He's basically anti-doom scroll therapy.
And he throws shade at tech companies like, sure, no correlation with mass suicide, just a new app that tells you how.
He's also like, human interaction fixes a lot, which sounds obvious, but people forget it.
Then Elon buying Twitter, he's like, maybe it balanced things, more free speech, less town square censorship.
I don't love the premise, but I get his angle. Use it when it serves you. Stop when it ruins you.
The feedback part was good though. He says feedback can either destroy your creation or guide it. So don't let it program your mind.
He's basically advocating for feedback hygiene, like mouthwash for your ego.
And the whole comedy has metrics thing, laughing, ticket sales, people you trust, enjoying it.
That's also how he talked about Gen Z and work, exposing the scam, quiet quitting, remote options.
He said something like, when you realize the scam, you approach it like a scammer would. And I was like, that's both clever and gross.
Yeah, he supports it too hard. Fake mental illness. Terrify your superiors. That's where I'm less comfortable.
I get the critique of exploitation, but don't pretend sabotaging people is morally clean.
But he frames it as society handing over the playbook and workers finally using it back.
Which circles into a deeper theme. The system incentivizes selfishness, so selfishness shows up everywhere.
And remote work made guarantees questionable, so young people ask why they should suffer 40 hours when they can game it.
He made "work yourself to death" sound like the hidden translation of "you can be anything."
America sells fantasies like license plates. Be anything, rise to the top, never mention trade-offs.
He's basically arguing that the American dream gets marketed as infinite possibility, but it's really upward mobility with a lot of sacrifice.
Then he contrasts London and the North, more grit and spirit up north versus whatever hollow elegance he sees in Knightsbridge.
One Hyde Park as symbol of coldness and emptiness of having things. That image is ridiculous and also disturbingly plausible.
And his Dubai jab, clean, orderly, and someone screamed, "Fuck Catholics," like the audience needed cardio for chaos.
The LA rant was the best. People waiting for instructions, empty vessels, no real beliefs, just following the consensus email.
It's depressing, but it maps onto what some people feel in celebrity industries. Everyone's replaceable, so no one commits.
And then the AI section kicks in. He's like, writing, acting, on-location shoots get nuked by AI generation.
He goes full apocalypse, but the examples are oddly grounded. Tyler Perry canceling expansion. AI influencers replacing humans.
These generic barcodes with feet line was savage. He hates the template life influencers and wants pixels instead.
Then the pivot. If AI influencers exist, men might date robots. He treats it like comedy but asks questions like, "It's real."
I mean, that future can be bleak, but his point about loneliness and autonomy is the real payload.
He also argues society is atomizing people by pitting groups against each other. Men versus women, races, religions.
The "stop tearing everything apart, start building with values" line, yeah, he's tired of tribalism.
And his criticism of how men's issues get dismissed, that knee-jerk, shut-up response.
He wants space for men to talk about loneliness and mental health without being punished for existing.
Then Andrew Tate shows up as a symbol for respect, status, money, fitness. Whether you agree or not, the desire is understandable.
He tries to show the double standard, celebrating women's ambition while demonizing men's ambition, even when the motivation is the same.
That double standard argument is spicy because it forces you to admit how selective we are with moral outrage.
And we end with the guest question. Who should you have apologized to but didn't, and why?
He picks Meghan Markle, then immediately spirals into American Riviera Orchard as if it's a redemption arc.
It's shameless in the funniest way, and also, somehow, he makes shamelessness feel like a coping strategy.
Then he gives a real apology to his grandmother about how his druggy behavior caused her anxiety.
That's the full circle: comedy, chaos, responsibility, and trying to become gentler with time.
All right, that's it. Episode 2 wraps the series. Thanks for hanging in, seriously.
Same, catch you next time, and go outside, talk to humans, and don't outsource your joy to feeds.
Welcome back. Quick recap. Today we chase therapy vibes, society scams, and belonging.
And it ends with shamelessness, an apology to a grandmother, and that wild Meghan Markle detour.
I still can't believe he made American Riviera Orchard sound like character growth.
It's not growth, it's ownership. Like, yes, I doubted the climber.
He treats social capital like a starter pack and calls it a redemption arc.
The phrase "upwardly mobile woman" had me like, bro is writing satire in real time.
And he's like, "Let me in. There may be a job at the Mansion Museum."
But then he goes immediately, "Okay, but I should have apologized to my grandmother."
That shift matters because shamelessness without responsibility is just noise.
Yeah, and it's also the theme he kept circling. Human beings, not just products.
The whole "there's a show and then there's a person" thing. He said it like a mantra.
And he said, it's the same version of him at dinner, not some two-person act.
That made me think, how much of entertainment is performance versus actual self-management?
Because people consume you like a subscription, then act shocked. You bleed like a person.
He even talked about feedback like it's poison or beauty depending on how you hold it.
Feedback can program your mind. That was the line I underlined mentally.
Most creators hear one angry comment and build a religion around it.
He basically argues, listen to laughter and ticket sales first, not internet theater.
That's also why the therapy talk landed. He kept saying it can be good or bad.
The meta-therapy point was, you're on tour, you're not fixed, you're just trying.
And he framed it gently: grief relief, spiritual dimension, people more than bodies.
Yeah, the way he described relief after suffering is hauntingly real.
Especially when he said nobody knew she was dying, but the moment felt like permission.
That's the part that always gets me. We're emotional idiots, but we sense meaning anyway.
Then immediately he's back to therapy logistics. Talk to people, long walks, don't doom scroll.
And he went hard on parade of insanity like TikTok is a grief sprinkler.
I love that he doesn't pretend doom scrolling is harmless, because it's not.
Tech companies always say no correlation, like humans are spreadsheets with feelings removed.
And he linked it to mental health, then pivoted to Elon buying Twitter like that fixes oxygen.
He said it helps people say what they want without a weird censorship vibe, then shrugged like it's still Twitter.
But the deeper point for me was still autonomy, not being trapped in someone else's feed.
Exactly, and he connected that to Gen Z exposing the scam.
The quiet quitting and fake mental illness line, he said it like it's a weaponized discovery.
I mean, I support the idea of workers resisting bullshit, but the fake illness part is ethically messy.
True, but he wasn't endorsing cruelty. He was pointing at the system's double standards.
Like when corporations act shocked, people use the rules they taught them to use.
That's why the everything is for themselves observation hits. American values taken literally.
He said once the scam is exposed, people just play the con. Why not, if that's what the world rewards?
The "why are you late" response with identity and anxiety. He made it sound like corporate HR bingo.
It's dark, but it's also accurate that language becomes leverage in workplaces now.
And then he adds the remote working angle like, we all found out the guarantees weren't guarantees.
Remote didn't just change jobs, it changed what people think they owe.
And then, boom, AI enters like a job apocalypse villain with a comedic timing problem.
His whole AI influencers replacing generic people take was such an ego punch.
He basically said, if you're only selling promos, you're not a human, so pixel you go.
He even compared it like we're going from De Niro to AI, and you could feel the theatrical horror in it.
And then he went to dating AI because loneliness is rising. Like society broke and people found patch notes.
That's the scary part. When companionship becomes a product, nobody learns how to be vulnerable.
Plus, when you outsource love, you outsource accountability. No growth, just comfort.
Still, I respect the never say never honesty because it's not pretending humans are fine.
Then the conversation turns to men and loneliness, and he pushes back on pitting groups against each other.
I actually liked that pushback. Stop tearing everything apart. Start building around values.
He basically said ideology that divides people creates isolation, and isolation breeds chaos.
And he called out the knee-jerk response, "Shut up, man," while claiming to care about mental health.
That double standard keeps showing up like a recurring villain in a season finale.
Speaking of villains, the Andrew Tate discussion was also about status, respect, and demonized ambition.
I get the double standard point. Women praised for status, men mocked for chasing it.
But he also admitted some of Tate's ideas have negative connotations, which is refreshing.
He used the Aspen Ideas Conference for women leaders hypothetical like a mic drop.
Yeah, if I said girl bosses are rich, people cheer, and somehow the logic is undeniable.
So the real complaint is not status is bad, it's status is selective violence.
Exactly, and that loops right back to belonging. People want dignity, not humiliation.
And then he ends with the apology ritual, which is basically dignity in action.
Like he chose the person whose suffering he caused, instead of the celebrity he could monetize.
That contrast is so him. Absurd shamelessness first, then real remorse like a trap door.
So yeah, between scams, therapy, AI, and lonely men, the connective tissue is still care.
Care for your future self, your community, and the people you unintentionally harm.
All right, wrap it up. That's the end of the series, and we appreciate you hanging with the chaos.
Same here. Catch you next time and go outside, talk to humans, and don't outsource your joy to feeds. Welcome back, man. This is our last one, episode 2.
Yeah, today we bounced from Dillon's spirituality, therapy realities, and the belonging scam to AI and lonely men.
The core thing that kept landing was care, like actual care, not branding care.
And he kept showing how people do rituals to feel okay after causing harm.
The apology ritual is basically dignity, but wearing a clown nose first.
Exactly. It's like remorse only after the bit is over. Then suddenly it's sincere.
Which is the funniest part and the saddest part at the same time.
I don't fully buy the sincerity as a system, but I buy the human need behind it.
Yeah, because grief has relief in it, and people don't know how to talk about that.
That line about relief, like watching suffering end, can feel like oxygen.
And he ties it back to people are more than their bodies, which is such a bold comfort claim.
But he's not saying it's time, he's saying maybe she could let go.
That's very Catholic-ish energy, like permission to interpret gently without pretending you know.
Also, he admits Catholicism has the whole abuse lineage, so he's not doing blind faith theater.
Right, he's like, I don't vibe with parts. But spirituality helped him process loss.
And then the therapy thing is super real. Therapy can be good. Therapy can also not be good.
Therapy is like food. Sometimes it's good for you, sometimes you get poisoned.
Love that analogy. Very clinical for a comedian listener.
But the shift he describes is key. From me achievements to, can I help somebody?
That's aging in late 30s energy. Joy dims. Community gets louder.
And he says he starts enjoying other people's accomplishments, which is annoyingly wise.
It's annoying because it's true, and I hate when wisdom is accurate.
Then he exposes the whole show versus person thing. Audience only sees one dimension.
That was my favorite pushback. I'm not going to sit at dinner and suddenly feel differently.
Yeah, like the audience wants a secret press tour version of you. He's like, no, I'm just me.
I still wonder, though, does performing one dimension slowly overwrite your inner compass?
He basically answers it by explaining freestyling. He's looking for the funny take without an agenda.
And that's where he goes into press has agendas, left-right, centrist corporate, so he tries to stay unattached.
Not sponsored by the article. Iconic concept for people who hate being marketed to.
But then he goes even darker about online mental health, like TikTok murders and the parade of insanity.
He frames it as recipe for unhappiness, and I think that part is emotionally airtight.
And tech companies acting like correlation isn't causation, while monetizing attention is infuriating.
New app Suicider was wild, but the point landed hard.
What got me was his claim. Men are lonely, higher suicide rates, addictions. Then he says, ideology makes it worse.
He's pushing back on pitting groups against each other, like men versus women, races versus races.
I get the moral argument, but do you think society even can pivot away from that?
It's hard because controversy is the algorithm's oxygen, and everyone breathes it.
The algorithm is basically a landlord, collecting rent from your outrage.
Still, his alternative is values-based community. Be around like-minded people who believe what you believe.
That's the opposite of tribalism, except he doesn't pretend it's easy to find those rooms.
He's like, don't convince people to think like you, which is both impossible and correct.
Then the Andrew Tate part becomes respect as a hunger, status as fuel, and double standards in culture.
The double standard line was spicy. Celebrate women's material success, but demonize men's pursuit.
And he points out the girl boss narrative is basically the same playbook as the Tate playbook.
The nuance he's gesturing at. People want respect. They just argue about the acceptable routes.
But sometimes roots become harm, like grift, manipulation, violence, coercion. Then it's not just respect.
True, but he's saying the obsession with labeling people often prevents actual empathy.
Speaking of labeling, his scam theme with Gen Z and quiet quitting was hilarious and uncomfortable.
Exposed the scam, and now they're playing the scammer game back. Fair or petty, depending how you feel.
If your boss sells performance theater, you're gonna buy performance theater with your own hands.
And remote work gave people permission to question guarantees like 40 hours equals dignity.
I liked how he framed it. Not hate, just noticing the system flaw and adapting.
That ties back to belonging. People don't want humiliation. They want a place they can breathe.
Which loops into AI too. If AI replaces jobs, people still need community and meaning.
His AI influencer bit was brutal, like humans replaced by pixels in the worst way.
But it also asks an annoying question. What do we tolerate now that we'll regret later?
He goes full dystopia. You own your avatar, not your house, not your car. Everything colonized by super rich.
He's exaggerating for effect, but the direction feels plausible, and that's what freaks me out.
And his optimism is weirdly grounded. Humans can still choose better habits. Walks, books, real people.
That's his therapy stance too. The journey starts when you stop using the old coping mechanisms.
He's basically saying sobriety isn't the end, it's when you finally negotiate being a human.
Also, he keeps it comic, like he's a comedian, so it can't be great, but it's improving.
If it was great, I wouldn't have become a comedian. That is such a him sentence.
And we close on that apology question. Who should you apologize to and why?
It's wild how a who apologized prompt turns into grief processing, accountability, and then hope.
That's the connective tissue he keeps circling. Scams, therapy, AI, loneliness, still care underneath.
Care for your future self, your community, and the people you unintentionally harm.
All right, wrap it up. That's the end of the series, and we appreciate you hanging with the chaos.
Same here. Catch you next time and go outside, talk to humans, and don't outsource your joy to feeds.
Welcome back. This is the final episode, and we're closing on grief, therapy, and scams dressed as careers.
Yup, plus the whole AI loneliness arc. How society sells you purpose, then rents it back monthly.
The grief part hit me hardest because he doesn't sanitize it.
He talks about relief and pain like they can exist in the same room.
And that line about people being more than their bodies, very Catholic-ish, but personal.
It's funny how the soul topic shows up right after he talks about being on tour.
Right. Like he can do metaphysics and logistical exhaustion in one breath.
Therapy also gets this weird, honest framing. It can help. It can ruin your week.
I liked that he admits not always good, without pretending it's a cure-all.
Because the point isn't enlightenment. It's processing and not self-destructing.
Then he flips to adulthood, like late 30s, joy dimming, community rising.
My career might get better, but the joy starts dimming. That's adulthood bullying you politely.
The shift from me to can I help somebody is the real thesis.
And it connects to the audience doesn't know the whole person bit.
He's basically saying, stop consuming the character like it's the whole menu.
That's why long-form freestyling matters. He's grabbing articles but fishing for a human angle.
Yeah, like no agenda, just what's the funniest take that explains something bigger?
I love that he casually calls it the service that I provide. Comedian employer vibes.
He also compares his sober brain to being drunk at a bar. Same flow, upgraded ethics.
But the center of gravity keeps returning to coping mechanisms and accountability.
When he talks about mental health, he doesn't just moralize. He gives behavior strategies.
Walks, talking to people, helping others, boring in the best way.
And the stop watching murders on TikTok thing, yeah, it's crude, but it's also accurate.
That's the modern coping mechanism. Doom scrolling as a hobby with ads.
He even mocks the "there's no correlation tech company" line about suicide and the app.
It's like, sure, nothing caused anything besides the filters that help you do it.
Then the Elon Twitter tangent. He's pro people can say what they want, but realistic about chaos.
I like that he doesn't mythologize Twitter as a town square. He calls it a battleground.
And he says feedback can destroy what you love, not just shape it.
Which is basically, don't let comment sections become your therapist.
That connects back to the scams theme. Society runs on incentives, not truths.
The American dream is work yourself to death translation was savage.
The way he reframes you can be anything into you can be anything as long as you grind until you break.
But he also lets Gen Z be the symptom and the teacher. You found the flaw in the system.
He's not fully cheering the ethics of it, though. More like, I understand why they're weaponizing it.
That quiet quitting, fake illness, remote working reality check, he's describing a cultural shift.
Still, the question for me was, when does exposing the scam become just another game?
Exactly. Because a scammer mentality can mean you're optimized for manipulation, not for meaning.
And that's where the AI bit goes nuclear. Jobs vanish, but the performance economy remains.
He basically predicts generic barcode with feet influencers get replaced by pixels, instant substitution.
And then he ties it to romance. AI dating, sex robots, companionship outsourced.
The loneliness data for men, the loneliness narrative for everyone. It's the emotional engine there.
I pushed back a little on the everyone's pitted against each other framing, but the loneliness part rings.
Yeah, even if you argue the politics, the psychology of isolation is hard to dispute.
And he's arguing the ideology is about tearing down, not building up.
Which is why he keeps yelling in his way, stop telling groups they're toxic.
The shut-up response to men talking about their pain. He calls it hypocrisy with receipts.
He's like, you want mental health talk, but only the kind that doesn't offend you.
Then the Andrew Tate comparison, money, status as a form of respect, and the cultural double standard.
That bit is messy, because he's partly defending the desire while acknowledging negative connotations.
But the double standard point was sharp. We celebrate girl bosses, chasing wealth, then condemn men for it.
It's basically same human hunger, different allowed scripts.
And that circles back to the earlier what's missing from the audience theme.
Because the audience thinks he's one thing, then you realize he's also talking about belonging and care.
The apology question at the end is like the moral culmination. Grief turns into responsibility.
And shamelessness turns into comedic hope. Meghan Markle as a full-circle joke mechanism.
I'll apologize to Meghan is insane, but it reveals his point about agency and reframing.
And then he pivots to apologizing to his grandmother because love was the real ledger.
That's the series in miniature. The scamming is external, but the repair is internal and communal.
Care for yourself, care for others, and stop outsourcing your mind to algorithms.
All right, before we disappear into the void, final wrap. What's your one takeaway from all this?
Don't let the feed replace therapy, and don't let therapy replace living.
Perfect. That's how we end a 2-episode chaos machine, with humans doing human stuff.
Same here. Catch you next time and go outside, talk to humans, and don't outsource your joy to feeds.
Welcome back. Episode 2 is the final one.
We bounced from Dillon's society's scam vibe to therapy, love, AI, and loneliness.
The Meghan Markle apology thing was wild, but also oddly coherent.
He basically said, I doubted her. Now I respect her shamelessness.
That's the scam angle, right? Reframe, and suddenly you stop feeling powerless.
Or you just crown the scammer queen and call it growth.
But then he flips again. Apologizing to his grandmother felt real religious.
Yeah, like love is the actual ledger and the rest is performance math.
The whole there's grief and then relief line, man, that sat with me.
It's not cold, it's complicated. Watching suffering end messes with your brain.
And everyone pretends it's only grief because that's socially safer.
Society demands a clean emotion, but human beings are messy spreadsheets.
He also kept saying, people are more than their bodies, like Catholic metaphysics.
I didn't love every doctrine, but I love the gesture, spirit as an anchor.
And then it immediately goes to therapy, which is like, yes, but sometimes no.
Therapy can be amazing, but it can also become another shopping aisle of coping.
That it can be good, it can also not be good, was refreshingly honest.
Exactly, and the best part was what he didn't claim, no magic wand.
He tied it to late 30s shifts. Career gets dim, community gets louder.
That's the underrated plot twist. Your joy metabolism changes with time.
I enjoy other people's accomplishments. That's a flex most people can't even fake.
It's also how you know you're not spiraling as much anymore.
The hard push was, don't let the internet replace real humans and real walking.
The TikTok murders line was dark comedy, but the prescription, leave the doom feed, was practical.
He argues the parade of insanity is a recipe for unhappiness, and I get that.
And then he goes, filters which you can kill yourself, like it's corporate satire.
The tech companies deny correlation rant. Every industry has that same PR reflex.
Nothing to do with it, here's another update. Classic.
And then Elon and Twitter becomes this weird therapy-adjacent metaphor.
He's like, was censorship bad? Sure. But also, Twitter was never a wholesome thing.
Which I respect. No blind hero worship. Just maybe this balances the scale.
I like that he treated platforms as tools, not moral universes.
Then he pivots to feedback like, stop letting reactions program your mind.
Comedy creators, don't let the comments ruin the timing.
But I wonder, can you ever fully not consume reactions?
You can limit it, sure, but the brain is a sponge. You just squeeze the water out.
That's the whole mental health thread. Habits beat intentions.
And then the biggest chaos bomb, AI will wipe entire job categories.
The Tyler Perry example, canceling an $800 million expansion because AI generates locations, felt futuristic and stupid.
It's stupid future, but it's the business logic of why pay for the real thing.
I buy that it disrupts production, but I don't fully buy the we're replacing people with pixels certainty.
Oh, we'll replace the shallow demand first. Human depth is slower to monetize.
He even mocked the generic influencers, like they're barcodes with feet.
And the comments thirsting for an AI influencer, that was accidentally horrifying.
That connects to loneliness, right? People want companionship that doesn't demand vulnerability.
Exactly. And then he goes full sex robots will respect autonomy, which, wow.
I love that he said, never say never, like it's a weather forecast.
But underneath it is a real anxiety. If humans are exhausting, software becomes seductive.
And then comes the you'll own your avatar, not a house dystopia.
I think it's an exaggerated picture, but the direction, asset capture, is painfully plausible.
The we colonize the good parts and the rest gets ravaged by climate change. That's his bluntest tonal pivot.
Still, the emotional center was people will feel purposeful while losing agency.
And then he argues about men, lonelier than ever, higher suicide rates, addictions, porn stuff.
He's basically saying the tribal blaming discourse creates isolation, even while claiming to support mental health.
I pushed back a little in my head, because sometimes those conversations surface real harms.
Yeah, but he's reacting to the men shut up knee-jerk, not the existence of issues.
He wants more building, less tearing apart, more values, less identity warfare.
That build around values, not categories line was probably the most sane thing he said all episode.
And the Andrew Tate double standard. Women get celebrated for status. Men get demonized for it.
His point wasn't status is good always, it was we apply morality unevenly.
Which is exactly why scams survive. Humans love narratives that excuse hypocrisy.
The more I listened, the more I saw it as one theme. The external script shifts, the internal hunger stays.
Loneliness, meaning, belonging, whether it's religion, therapy, comedy, or an AI influencer.
And the script always tries to monetize the longing.
So our wrapping takeaway fits. Don't let the feed replace therapy, and don't let therapy replace living.
Same. Therapy is a tool, not an address.
And living means community, walks, talking to humans, and admitting grief has multiple colors.
All right, that's the Chaos Machine's End, episode 2 done.
Thanks for sticking with us through the scams, the therapy, and the human mess.
Same here. Catch you next time and go outside. Talk to humans.
Don't outsource your joy to feeds.